So it's my pleasure to welcome you all to Transformational Dialogues, and tonight with Christopher Thorsen. And we're going to be talking about the power of leadership, the use of Aikido, and the power of focus and attention. And he's going to lead us through a very interesting evening. I have a little bit of background with Aikido many years ago, and I've always had a tremendous respect for Aikido being much larger than just a martial art. So without being an expert in that, but being more in the inquiry of how do we take the metaphor and the use of Aikido into leadership, we will begin tonight. So can you give us just a little bit of background about where we're going to go tonight and what you'd like to see happen, and kind of give us a little overview before we get in depth?
I hold leadership to be an inquiry, regardless of how many years someone's been leading an organization, for instance, where I've had a lot of experience. But I'm really primarily interested in the fact that each of us lead our own lives. And that's plenty of leadership right there, let alone trying to lead somebody else or large groups of somebody else. So I think tonight we're going to look at leadership from the point of view of how we lead our lives. And those of you that are involved in organizations will see the extrapolation of how that unfolds. I've studied, for probably 45 years, the whole dynamic of consciousness, and I've been in meditation for 40 of those years, and in Aikido for 35 plus. And after all of that training and work, it all seems to come back to attention and what we're doing with it. I would posit that attention is the fulcrum for power, and beyond that I'd posit that attention actually defines who we are. Attention defines identity. So I made that statement in the flyer, and I'll see what I can do to support that tonight. Tonight will be a combination of some speaking by me, hopefully some speaking by you, some dialogue, and inquiry through the body into these principles of attention and power and control and influence, which I submit are either admitted or non-admitted desires on all our parts, that we're all interested in control and influence and power.
Can you define power, what you are speaking of?
I will, but I would rather define it kinesthetically than verbally. Okay. But that's exactly what we're going to do, is see if we can't inquire into the dynamics of power. One of the things I wanted to mention is the literal power of the attention that you're sharing with me right now. It's a great gift. In fact, we could say that attention is one of the greatest gifts we have to offer anyone in our lives. So to receive it from all of you at once feels great. And it raises the energy in my being to receive that attention. Indeed, you'll find as we play around that we're going to look at a critical principle that comes right out of the art of Aikido. Not bound by the art of Aikido, but it certainly came to me through that art. And that is that energy follows attention. That the control of energy is a function of the control of one's attention. And wherever you point your attention, energy will flow. In fact, I think we know now from quantum physics that attention is what actually generates matter. That when the attention is focused, matter manifests. And that when attention is not focused there's a supposition that rather than matter staying matter, it actually returns into a kind of quantum flux. And when we return our attention, it rematters. This is very strange. This implies that everything is pretty gooey. Or as Alan Watts said, the universe wiggles. It's not as solid as we think it is. I'm going to suggest tonight that the way to master change, to really work with, or even more importantly, play with change in an effective way, is interdependent on our attention, and that the dynamic of change is itself a source of power. In Aikido, we'd say that change itself is our source of energy and power. Aikido, defined, it's a Japanese word. Ai means harmony, ki means the energy, and do means a path. Ki is energy or spirit, so Aikido is sometimes translated as the way of harmony with the universal spirit. And indeed, when I work with leaders, my goal is to enable leaders to source their decisions from spirit. That's my vision. To help circles of leaders source their decisions from spirit. Or you might say, if we wanted to go secular here, from a deep intuitive center. Okay so far? Let's have an attention practice here for a moment. This comes also from a Japanese art called haiku. So I want you to watch what happens to your attention when you hear this. Red-tailed hawk soars to stillness in the wind, every feather quivering. Where did your attention go?
Internal.
What happens to attention when we hear something like that?
I saw the top of a tree.
Saw the top of a tree.
I was up in the sky.
Huh. I thought we were here in this room. I'll be damned. Dawn, the hawk, blinking awake, fills his eye with the great setting moon. Within this crystal drop of dew, the whole world is hanging upside down. Lighting on leaf, an insect folds up green wings and blends out of sight. So I figure I'm on the right track when people are chuckling. Haiku's defined as the verse of light heart. Marshhawk drops a mouse to his mate, passing below, upside down. Now and again, through the thinly layered clouds, the pale moon falling. And this last one is from here on the island. It's the first haiku for the island. Falling through moonlight, the white snow silences everything, even the owl. So you've been in the experience of attention for the last little while. Tell me about it. What is attention?
I was trying to watch what the words brought to mind while hearing the new words. And so I noticed, and I was noticing patterns. So my thinking was like this, listening to you, while I noticed so many of your images were round, eyes and moons and insects covering up their wings.
What was your attention doing? Where was it pointed?
My attention was pointed inward,
So,
on the emotional part of it. And that's what it was all about feeling, as the words were being spoken. And feeling and visualization.
Anybody else, what was your attention doing while you heard the poems?
I think my mind was quiet. There wasn't a sort of, inner blather that goes on. So there was just the visualization. I've seen the hawk's quivering feathers, and you see them still up there, and everything. I know what was written, and so there was a lovely silence. Just
Cool.
Almost like eating food. The first one was vivid. I could hear it and feel it. And then it was calmer and quieter. It wasn't as vivid, like the first bite of something really good, and then it's still good, but it's not quite that crystal clear moment.
So I decided to start this way because I was curious to see what would surface. And what I'm hearing is a tremendous variety of varying responses that describe different focuses of attention spurred by the same stuff or by the same stimuli. A good haiku enables you to see what I saw. A really good haiku returns you to your own hawk, to your own snow experiences. Haiku is called the playful art and a playful verse, and it's a Zen art. Its purpose is to put you in touch with your own presence in nature. And it reflects direct experiences I've had in nature. And if I leave you with anything tonight, it would be to encourage you to value presence, and particular presence in nature. The founder of Aikido was a man named Morihei Ueshiba, and he died in 69, I think, at the age of 85. And was a master of martial arts, a master of the sword, certainly a master of attention. And he said that he learned his Aikido from nature. Actually, he said from the Aiki Kami, which means nature spirits. The Kami are kind of a pantheistic focus on spirit in that everything has its Kami. Everything has its own Kami. So he said he learned Aikido. He would go out in the middle of the night in the woods, and the Aiki spirits would teach him Aikido. I'm very interested in leadership of the spirit. These are radical times. Radical as in extreme change, times of extreme change. And I assume that radical times call for radical leadership. But in this case, by radical, I mean fundamental. That is, leadership arising from the source, the origin, the root.